I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
I'm waiting for another person to say their name because the last 6 months it's been another person saying their name.
He's not. Wait a minute. I think I still see him. That's what's so bad. I'm pretty sure he's on that screen over there. No?
He might be, but he's not with us. We are the CRM Playaz, kind of feeling a little light now.
Yeah. I already missed Brian, man.
I know. Yeah. I mean, we bring in the play-in residents for the first time. You know, we work with him. He gets up to speed. He's there doing it for us, and then he leaves to take a better job for us.
Our little boy has gone to college. We're empty nesters. We're empty nesters now.
I know.
Oh, no.
They grow so fast, you know. Oh well. So yes, we are back. It's the two of us for the time being. You know, maybe that'll change. Maybe we'll know by the end of the show if that'll change. But anyway, we're back sheltering in place as we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. You know, I'm getting kind of used to it now. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, let's say this. I'm not necessarily used to the level of crisis. I was certainly used to working from home. You know, I mean, I've been working from home since 1999, so that wasn't a stretch. I mean, the big problem is getting Yvonne used to me being home at long stretches, right? That's the hard part. I know she liked it when I was away, right? So, you know, now she's stuck with me.
Yeah, well, hopefully, you know, things are moving in the right direction with that.
Yeah. They're saying what? I don't know if it's global, at least U.S. 3-4 days for peak.
Yeah, well. So let's we got to ease back into this being like just you and me. Well, for at least the next 12 minutes or 10 minutes. I don't know, 8 minutes.
This is kind of a special show if you think about it. We have all kinds of
show. We got announcements, and we got old friends, and we've got Watchlist winners, and you know, all sorts of stuff. So why don't we just do this? Why don't we talk about some of the things that are coming up that we're adding? Matter of fact, why don't you talk about what we just did yesterday?
Yeah, that was actually, I was, you know, going into it, I was, as you know, a little nervous about our very first CRM Playaz happy hour. And I am a person with ice in his veins. Well, that's usually ice water in my. The drama is just so much better when you say ice in your veins, you know. But the whole idea was, you know, we have 15 people on. They're all carrying a liquid, of which I say of the 15 who were on, we had like 2, was it, or 1 with actual alcoholic liquid.
Yeah,
Macallan Gold.
Yeah,
I won't say who. But the concept was chill, talk, watch a movie, right? Whatever. Like, just come on. 15 people. We'll do one a week, Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, so Europe could be involved. And we actually had people from Australia and Malaysia on the show, or in the happy hour. We've sold out all 15. It was an eclectic group. Turned out a few knew each other from other places, but most of the time people were meeting each other first time. It just flowed, man. It was just a great conversation. We did a little testing in the breakout rooms to see how it would work with video and sound. I found out actually after the fact how to fix the sound issue I thought I had. And not only that, you know, so that's April 8th. It was very successful. People were really excited. They've all been communicating, because I'd sent an email with the link for everybody. They've all been communicating via that email with each other, linking up on LinkedIn now, new friends, new places. And it's, again, an eclectic group. I mean, we can name names because it's meant to be public. But we had like Doug Kim, who was president and CEO of Cogito, who's VC guy for years. Pega, he knew Ray Gerber, who you'll meet later today, for the Thunderhead segment, who's the Chief Solutions Officer there. He knew Ray from Pega back in the day. We had Mike Boyson, who is one of the real thinkers in the industry around service design and service dominant logic. We had Steve LeMay, a professor at University of Western Florida. I mean, we had just a wide variety of people from multiple places and had a great time. Everyone was really excited. Alan Berkson from Freshworks actually sent me a note afterwards saying it was just awesome. And here's the thing. So we booked up for April 8th. We're already completely booked for April 15th. We're completely booked for April 22nd. We're almost booked for April 29th. And we have people booking for May 6th and May 13th. We'll put a URL when Brent puts out the first clip. We'll click the URL for the happy hour there. But it was really successful. It was really fun. It's serving its purpose. We have 39 of these all told. So, Brent and I have reserved the right to cancel anyone we want, regardless of attendance, given that that's a lot of happy hours.
Yeah, and we reserve the right to cancel any individuals who have the audacity to come on and say that they are Patriots fans.
Oh yeah, well, that was tough.
Yeah, we're gonna have to ratchet up a notch, a couple of our standards for who can join.
Do a pre happy hour Zoom background screen.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I'm very disappointed in a fellow Atlanta person, James Kelly, who comes on and the first thing he mentions is that he's a Boston Red Sox fan. I mean, James, on, man.
And we love you, man. I mean, your Pedowitz group, your professor was literally on the happy hour with you, and you still said that. I mean, that's the kind of thing that gets you an F in college.
Yeah. And who was the Patriots fan? Was that Bob?
Bob Fagel, I think.
Okay.
Guy, right. Guy we knew back in the Radiant 6 days, and we had Corey Hartland, who also is from the Radiant 6 days. Again, none of them knew the other ones were on it, right? But that's what, look, we got a note from one of our apocalyptic partners here.
Yeah, he's starting already.
That's right.
All I can say is this, Bob, I hope you really enjoyed this happy hour, because that will be the last happy hour you will be on.
Except that he happens to be registered for a couple more. Just a different background is necessary. So here's the new criteria. You have to have a drink in hand.
Yes.
And you can't have a background with the Patriots in it. I'll even let the Red Sox go if I have to, but not the Patriots.
But the TB, I can now say it's a throwback TB12 jersey in the background.
That's right.
Make sure if you're going to have a TB12 jersey, it better be from Tampa Bay. All right. So
Dennis, he's back in our immediate races as a partner. He just said Patriots are over. That's
there it is. All right. Then we can move on.
Yes. Thank you, Dennis. You made me so happy one.
Yes. And since we're talking sports, tomorrow we're doing CRM Playaz Sports, a.k.a. Excuse the Intrusion, right? That's what we're called. Excuse the Intrusion. Esteban is shaking his head already. This is going to be fun when we bring him on. So who's our guest tomorrow? It's tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it's we have two guests tomorrow. We have Ricky Valente and Wendell Haskins, who is respectively the CEO and CMO of what's called the Professional Collegiate League. They're going to tell you about what that is, and it's just say alternative to the, let's call it, brutal effect of the NCAA on college students when it comes to making any kind of revenue, even though they make billions of revenue off those very student athletes. So they'll talk about that. Wendell's a brand new CMO. He's going to talk about his background, where he came from. And interesting. I mean, this will give you you want to satisfy that good old Sports Jones? This is the one that will start doing that and give you something worthy of supporting, by the way, too. If you're into it.
Very cool.
And we got one other really, really big announcement, is we do not let grass grow under our feet announcement of the year.
Yeah, so we kind of like having a player in residence. I mean, Brian is cool. He was a cool guy. We enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And, we figured if we had one player in residence that we liked, then maybe having two players in residence will make it even better, right?
Yeah, and let's put it this way. We had a scrupulous, brutal selection process on this one, which here's literally our line of thinking. I am not kidding. This is how tough we were. Hey, do you want to put on so and so? Yeah, that's a good idea. Hey, what about so and so? Okay, that's great. That was it. Okay, that's what we said. Now, Brent, I'm going to let you announce them both because
okay. So, but the other criteria was neither of these two are New England Patriots fans either. So that was the last one. Sorry, Dennis, that took you right out of the equation. So, all right. So, players in residence class. I mean, wasn't this Brian supposed to be the class of 2020? So
yeah, although keep in mind it was a 6-month gig back when they started. We actually had extended them to a whole year.
Yeah,
already, and we were considering even more than that.
All right, and he lasted all of 2 months, so that
is a big career, a big career involved in this move. But I'll tell you, it's just not with us. It only starts with us.
This is what we offer. You know, you spend a couple of months with us, and then you become like a big time global evangelist or something like that. So hey, this is what we offer as a player in residence. So the first one we'll go it in alphabetical order.
All right.
So the first person in the player in residence class of 2021 program is somebody you've already seen with us actually last year, and then really recently. Like, was it last week?
Yeah,
it was just last week.
Last week.
All right. You know him as the former president of EMEA for Adobe. You know him for working at Marketo before it was Marketo, and then he was at Adobe for a while. And before that, he was at SAP heading up the Hybris marketing cloud stuff. And you knew him even before that, didn't you?
Well, no, I mean, I knew him at SAP for 15 years. And you don't know him as, but he was a rock star in Scotland.
That's right. He was a Scottish rock star. Or was he a rock star that just drank a lot of scotch? I don't know. Maybe it's both of those.
Actually, I think it's both.
All right. But what we know him for, on top of all of that, is doing the best impressions in the industry. I mean, you name it. Yeah, he's done them all. Well, he's at least done a couple of them for us. Michael Caine is probably my favorite one of his. But he's also done what he did. Richard Burton. Richard
Burton, Alec Guinness in Star Wars. In Star Wars specifically.
Yeah,
and he does a insanely good imitation of John Lennon.
So, with all that said, Jamie Anderson is joining the 2021 class of the CRM Playaz Player in Residency program, along with. Do we throw her first initial in, or do we just? I'm going formal name here.
Okay.
I'm going formal name L. Nicole France from Constellation, which VP of Customer Experience.
She's
a big name. She's a big name. So Nicole, I'm just going to go Nicole. We know the L is the L will be silent from here on in.
That's right.
It'll be.
But she won't. Right.
She won't. So Nicole France and Jamie Anderson, they will be joining us on a regular basis, not every week, but you will see them on a regular basis as part of the CRM Playaz 2021 residency program. We need some fake applause. There's some real.
I'll do it under the table so you can't see it.
All right, so that we'll figure out when they each join us, but they will fit right in.
By the way, while you and I have been talking about this, there has been, I won't say by who, but a hilarious conversation going on the chat side between our next two guests.
Oh, of course. So now that I think we got all the news out, right? You think so?
Yeah, all the Playaz related news anyway, but yeah.
Oh, and there will be a CRM Playaz newsletter coming at some point too.
Yes, not too long from now.
Yes, all right.
Otherwise, if we don't say that publicly, it will be a long time.
Yes. All right. So now we're ready. I can't believe that we have never done this before on the CRM Playaz. I was told that it did happen, that all four of us meaning you, me, Esteban Kolsky, and Denis Pombriant, we were actually all on Steve Gilmore's Enterprise gang once, or maybe twice.
Yeah, we were actually. That's right. That's
So,
exactly right.
so he made me, swear I was going to say this, that this has happened before, but just not on the CRM Playaz. So, since it wasn't on the CRM Playaz, it really didn't happen before, Steve. Sorry about that. It's about to happen now. Here are our other buddies, Esteban, Kolsky, Denis, Pombriant.
I want to thank the Academy, my family, and everybody here. It's such an honor to be here. Oh my God.
The Four Horsemen reunited.
I got the golden thermometer.
Oh, I thought you had some hand sanitizer or something with
It's mine. Hold up our thermometers. Hey.
Everybody has hand sanitizer right at the ready. I mean, that's
Oh no.
That's right.
Pulse oximeter, yay.
Oh
You can't be too careful.
Well, first of all,
I just went to the produce store with a can of Lysol.
Wow.
I'm not gonna say what I sprayed down with it, but we'll be washing everything.
I thought the produce had a different taste to it.
If I had to go to Costco or Walmart or Target, I have in the car, I retrofitted the car with a Lysol shower addition.
Huh?
I just keep my
Good
car
idea.
armored.
As soon as I get out of there, you just feel like, oh, Lysol, please, top to bottom. I can do this.
Can I ask all four of us just to do a nice little wave to Steve Gilmore? Just so
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
This is not the Gilmore gang. Sorry. All right. This is cool. So does this mean like the world is definitely about to come to an end?
Must be. After us, what's left?
That's got like a good sound and a bad sound simultaneously, if you really think about it.
Yeah, it's kind of
Sort
like
of, aren't we
Marie
great
Antoinette.
or aren't we responsible for everything? One of those.
I would have to say my memory of the good book is faint at best, but I think that this is it. You know.
Okay, well, that was a great show.
I mean, we can even do it like this way, like look, last week Jamie Anderson, the Beast, now the Fourth Horsemen.
The Four Horsemen, that's what it is.
That is it, man. We are the Four Horsemen and have been for how many years? And here's the deal. I mean, even though Esteban's on the vendor side now, we didn't even drum him out. I mean, he's still part of us, right?
Well,
That's
I
the
think drum
thing.
out Esteban Pestilence Kolsky. I mean,
Yeah.
I do apologize for it. It's good you don't have a smell-o-vision because this work at home thing is like, whew.
You can't. Don't even open the window. That's not even a great thing. So put on the air conditioning.
It would change the chemistry in the air.
A lot of nitrate and sulfur.
This is going to be hard. This is what
This is. I know.
I'm trying to be like, no, let me throw a topic out there. All right.
Okay, let's go. Come on.
Brent feels like the Lion Tamer. The Lion Tamer, and what was that? What's that tiger movie?
Just don't call me Tiger King. I do not
Tiger
go
King.
by Tiger King.
I honest to God, will not watch that.
No,
Good.
I have no intention of watching that one.
Hey, by the way, on a piece of sort of COVID-related good news, there's a little piece, but you read that thing where it said that the tiger at the Bronx Zoo got
Yes.
infected? I mean, aside from the fact that it turns out that's like a 1 in a trillion shot, I thought they would, put him down or something like that, but they're not. He's actually recovering.
Oh,
good.
they gave him.
Right.
Did they give him hydrochloroquine?
Unless Trump owns the Bronx Zoo, I'm not sure, right? But
They figured out who
he's
the
actually
tiger
literally resting well and recovering. I just happened to see an article on that.
Oh, that is such a good piece of news.
It was
Of
nice.
course,
I
the
was
bigger
happy.
question is how did that tiger get infected?
Well, no, they actually know.
Who
was
was
actually
coughing on the
One
tiger's
of the
face?
caretakers had it.
Yeah,
But
that's the easy one.
He's actually
I'm going.
recovering. I'm a happy man.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
more going on like Hayes' initiation to a fraternity there type of thing, but the caretaker sounds better.
All right, Brent, throw it out, man.
Okay, man.
Break up all this. All right. So,
cheery stuff.
I got to ask Mr. Kolsky, we catch you in the fraternity.
Yes.
But how is life on the other side?
And you can be as careful as you have to be.
No,
wait a minute. Before you say anything, Paul, you got to do what you normally do.
And Dennis said, I'm sorry to say this, but you're now part of this. All right. So before we begin, this is our combination of safe harbor statement and disclaimer, right?
All the opinions safe shelter and place harbor.
Honorable partners in the Four Horsemen are their opinion and their opinion only. Thank you.
Send all the emails to Mr. Kolsky.
So, life on the vendor side. It's there's two ways to answer this. Two ways to answer that.
Spotlight in a second.
Okay.
One, you know how when we are analysts, we always say, "Oh man, I hate vendors. They never give me any information. They just hide it on purpose. They lie all the time. They do this on purpose." They don't. Everything that you get is passed through so many levels of people contributing and validating and vetting that by the time it gets to you, it's exactly what it's supposed to be. So, if you measure your expectations appropriately, it's incredibly challenging. It's invigorating. It's any good word that you want, and it's also some days that you just get to the end of the day, say like 10 a.m. and you're like, I need a drink. So, but I expected to have a challenge. I expected to have an incredible opportunity with a very big challenge, and the opportunity is much bigger than I envisioned. But the challenge is much, much bigger than the opportunity that I envisioned. So it's a day-by-day thing. Keep your focus, keep your eye on the ball, to use sports analogies, just for you.
Really
keep the dart in the bullseye,
Where's your curling analogy?
Yeah, no, I didn't get that.
No, there aren't.
Sweep.
All right, I want to ask Dennis something. Dennis, how long have you known Esteban?
All my life. He just makes it seem that long. I don't know.
Oh, nice.
So,
sorry.
Since you've known him so long, have you seen any changes in Esteban's personality since he crossed over to the dark side?
I dance more.
Well, I don't know about personality, because that's kind of a loaded question, but he has more hair than he used to have.
Oh no, this is work at home. I haven't cut it in like 3 months.
I don't know. Pretty soon. Well, look at that. Look at all that. My goodness.
Wow. He does confuse Palmer.
Confuse me. I am Jewish.
Rye and bourbon. Bourbon soaked hair.
No, honestly, I haven't noticed any changes in Esteban. As a matter of fact, he might be a little more calm because he only has to deal with one vendor now.
Good point.
No, I'm actually. You're true that I'm more calm, and a large part of that is the fact that things are starting to get easier with the kids, because what they always wanted to do is to stay home. The kids don't want to go to school, and guess what they get to do now? They get to stay home. So they're so happy that I'm happy.
So
it's hard to explain, because my expectations coming in have been matched with a complete different reality than what I expected, right? But it's a lot more challenging than I thought it would be, and a lot more rewarding also than I thought it would be. The people, I know that we say this all the time, right? But the people are incredible, and it's true all across. Well, there's a few exceptions, but we're not going to go there. Let's call them Q for lack of a better name. But the people are incredible, and they're all. Everybody has the same idea, and there was a need for strategy, direction, and vision that Bob has done Bob Stutz, my boss. Shout out to the man. But he's done an incredible job putting a great team together to fulfill that need. And we are 3-4 months after the team got together. We are in a great place, and hopefully we can continue to execute. Now, we live in an unprecedented time that is going to put an end to all that happiness, and then I'll go back to being miserable and nasty to everybody. But for now, everything's good.
Esteban.
Okay,
and as long as there's bourbon, that's life. So
I got a question for you now. Look, so when we all began, let's say we were somewhat narrowly focused in terms of similar direction.
Yep.
We've all expanded, changed, shifted, so we got unique.
Yeah, I gained weight. That's a nice way of saying I gained weight. Thanks.
That's what COVID-19 means.
This is as
COVID-19. COVID-19 is the 19 pounds you'll gain.
Reverent show, not irreverent. Reverent.
Yeah.
Show. We honor everybody. So Denis, you have had by far the broadest, biggest, call it transformation of scope at least, and actually of subject matter of all of us, without a doubt. How do you even get there from where we started now? Because, again, we've known all of us have known each other a decade and a half. So how'd you get there from there? How'd you get there?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't even think I've got a broad scope, to tell you the truth. When I started 20 years ago, I became an analyst. When I started in the analyst world, I had this understanding, maybe from reading something like Peter Drucker or whatever, that markets grow at the margin. And 20 years ago, we had a very tiny new market. So whatever grew at the margin was small, relatively speaking. It was easy to maintain a focus on everything as the blob grew. But at some point, things got so big that you had to specialize in a piece, and people that specialize, I think, saw the market as pizza slices that they had to go from the margin down to the center in. And what I did was I just looked at the outside, the crust of the pizza. So didn't get any cheese, didn't get any good sauce, didn't get any mushrooms, but I stayed on the margin of what was new coming in. So, Paul, you and I early on had many long conversations about social media and what it was going to mean to CRM. And we did the same thing with the analytics and quite a few other things. And lo and behold, time went by and those things became incorporated, as did some other stuff. So I don't know. My focus on the margin means that I'm still very knowledgeable about Salesforce automation, where I started from, but I don't spend a lot of time on it because it's becoming more and more. I don't want to say static, because companies like Salesforce and Oracle just keep piling things in. I mean, you look at Salesforce these days, and they've got conventional SFA, they've got sales modules for rapid sales processes, telephone sales processes, whatever. So I mean, they continue to grow, but I continue to look on the margin and ask, what's new here.
You've written books now, recent books on sustainability, and and you've looked at things from a macroeconomic standpoint. You put that article in Medium on anti-serums, and which is of course now at this, and that was before the plasma serums were being developed for antibody treatment. You were right. You wrote that piece, which I put into a blog post last week, and
thank you.
I have always said that Denis is the ultimate Renaissance analyst, and he's an incredible at correlating data points that we don't see from places we don't even look, right? And I think that his sustainability book totally proves it. And my account remains the same, Denis. Bitcoin is expected, of course, but I truly I remember when 1 year you keynoted the CRM conference, whatever it was called. May it rest in peace. And you did one of the most intelligent keynotes around CRM in the global environment of business that I ever heard, and most people did not get it. So that's my plug for Denis, and my people remain as intelligent as they always been. So,
well, you're gonna make me cry, guys. I don't know what to say.
Well, say that you send the money. What do you mean they know what to say?
Well, I don't have any Bitcoin. Let's start there. No, one of the things that two of the things that I have going for me is, number one, I'm old, and number two, I've seen a lot and I've done a lot, and nothing that I write about is sort of something I've come to in the last 15 minutes. I started my career in a laboratory as a medical technologist and blood banker. And so when the whole COVID-19 thing popped up, I just said, "Oh, yeah, this is a blood banking problem. You can fix this." It's disappointing that there isn't more attention being placed on it.
Yeah.
But it was just something I knew, and I figured I'd write about it and get it out to the world in case. But
see, there again, I mean, that's the thing. Being a good analyst is about connecting data points, right? I mean, when I joined Gartner, they put us through the boot camp, and a few things that I remember is like, they said 2 is a pattern, 3 is a trend, right? So when you get 2 data points that are a pattern, 3 is a trend, and you're looking for the patterns and the trends. The patterns is early detection. The trend is like, is leading versus lagging market indicators, right? But that's one of the things that, as I'm discovering through the COVID-19, coronavirus, quarantine, whatever you want to call it, and talking to my kids and other people, my level of calmness that you all notice is because these too shall pass. It's the older you get, the more you get into like, okay, let's connect the data points here, okay? So, wisdom comes with age, and wisdom makes you calm. You never see a 70-year-old, other than Clint Eastwood, may he rest in peace eventually. You never see a 70-plus-year-old being a complete asshole, non-smart person,
Oh, I can think of one.
I can think of one too. At least.
That's a good point, though, Esteban. The analogy I make is that, okay, I've been around the track. At my age, I've been around the track twice now. I've been around the track in my own life growing up. I've been around the track raising a family. They're out of the house and starting careers, and someday there'll be another generation, and that'll be another lap around the track. And when you're in your first iteration, your first lap, in my metaphor, the world is a very confusing place, and it's easy to get wigged out about things. And you take the second lap and you say, "Oh, okay, I've been here before. Yeah, this too shall pass."
Yeah. And I'm my kids are 14 and 17, so am I approaching the end of the second stage? You said it beautifully. First, you're born and you define yourself. Then you find your mark in the world and you establish it, and then you go for legacy. And entering legacy is a lot more interesting and fun than defining your world or defining your mark in the world. It's just legacy is fun. You can say whatever you want and nobody can tell you anything. Because
to that point, when I hit 70, when I hit 50, it was no big deal to me.
Right.
At 60, I thought about a little bit, and it became important. 70 was like eye opener, but 60 was kind of the pivot. And realized, on the one hand, I've been around long enough to have some sort of legacy, and I had to figure out what it was and what I wanted to leave. And then on the other hand, I realized I had enough time ahead to do a lot of things I still needed and wanted to do. So I had to figure out what they were too, right? So you could look forward and look back uniquely, actually, and that's around the age it really hit me. It doesn't mean it's ever at the same time, but now that once I hit 70, I realized, okay, it's more legacy than it's looking forward, right? So, I have to start really starting to build toward that. But you also realize you've established, to both your points, you've established enough of a way of looking at life and thinking to make judgments that are minimally valuable to yourself and hopefully valuable to others to learn from. And the only real question is, are you willing to literally talk about them? Because you've made them, right? Everyone's made them. Yeah, but the question is, are you willing to talk about them in a way that others can begin to understand them, right? And, that's, I think, Four Horsemen here, we've all done that. I mean, I don't want to pat us all on the head, although I actually do. But, that's right. Let's have a group pat.
Okay.
Minimally, four of us we have a lot of years combined, in terms of what we've done, and we were, and we're known, and we actually are known. When somebody says CRM Four Horsemen, they know who they're talking about, right? So, there's a lot of, all of us have at some point obviously made the decision. We are going to talk about those judgments we've made. And then, and honestly, it's up to the world at large and those in that world to take it or leave it. So, we're going to say, oh, wow, that's really a smart thing to say, or gives a crap what you just said.
This is becoming four old guys in a Porsche talking about the weather. Okay, so.
Yeah, and there's no booze either.
Dude, don't worry.
Get off my front lawn, man.
That's for the happy hour.
So let me... Actually,
so let's start picking on somebody. There's so many good things to pick on. So,
hey,
I gotta go.
Don't worry, we're not gonna...
I'll remember you just the way you are.
Remember, I think it was 1942.
Get a freeze frame shot of this.
I know.
It was before it's before I was born, but I remember it well.
All right. So Before Paul goes into his Watchlist Winners segment, I just want to pose a question. I don't know how long it'll take. What does the industry look like? What should it look like? What should it do in response to what everybody is going through right now?
So you do understand that's my job at SAP, right?
Right. So what's SAP's view of it? How's that?
No, I'm not going to do that. That's an easy cop out because I have my.
Sorry, that's internal only.
Well, actually, right now it is, but no, that's not the point. The point is like, look, the biggest thing coming out of this. My brother sent me a meme this morning that there's a guy saying, when we get out of this, let's not go back to normal. That's what was wrong with us, right? So the biggest thing is like, anybody who expects in June to get on a plane and go to visit 3 clients in 4 countries and come back is completely off the rocker. I mean, this is going to be a complete, for the next 2 years at the very least, this is going to be a polio on steroids that we need to figure out how to deal with. And spend the next 2 years more than likely stuck at home, but being able to go to the grocery store as long as you have your, like, your arm wristband that says that you've been tested and you don't have it, or it's going to be a complete different reality coming out of this, and this is what we need to adapt to. I'm grateful that I have this that allows me to continue to push forward what I've been pushing forward. I think there's a vision and all this that is going to be incredible, and there's a lot of value that I'm trying to build and everything. But even beyond that, my kids 2 months ago, they were worried about, climate change and change in the world. And they don't care about that anymore. Because all of a sudden they have $5 trillion to pay off, So, it's the new normal is going to take a year plus to build up. It's not going to be like, in June, July, we're going to be okay. You can put any numbers you want.
There's no going back to what it was, right? I mean,
and this is not even the last one. There's going to be a COVID 2012 and a COVID 25 or whatever. There's going to be others. This is what we've been expecting but not preparing for. This is kind of like the warning shot,
Can I give you a competing idea? Not to disagree too strenuously, but it's my belief that we're going to get back to something resembling normal as of circa December 2019. It might take a couple of years, but I think you need to look at what we do for influenza these days as a template. We develop an influenza vaccine every year at the Centers for Disease Control, and you don't have to get it, of course, and people don't, and some people die of influenza, but the death rate is something like 0.1%. Versus about 4% right now with COVID or coronavirus. I think it's entirely possible that we'll see an annual inoculation plan for coronaviruses and a program very similar to influenza at the Centers for Disease Control. And that will do an awful lot to get us closer to that day when we can call it normal again.
I think it's a little disingenuous and dangerous to correlate the hard words to say how fast and how hard it spreads versus influenza, and how much it affects people versus influenza. If it was just like the influenza, we wouldn't be all locked in at home. There's a lot of it. This is my biggest problem. My biggest problem with all this is how little information, and I mean information, we actually get. We get opinions, we get hysteria, we get news, quote unquote news, but we don't get information.
Those are two different points, Esteban. The first point with regard to influenza, the 1918 Spanish flu killed 50 million people worldwide.
Yeah,
over a couple of years,
yeah.
And there's good evidence that it got started in Boston by a couple of Red Sox fans.
Well, I thought you were going to see.
I'm not kidding.
I thought you were going to see the former Patriots quarterback, whose name I shall not say, or Brent will go into convulsions. But
there you go. But we forget that, and
I mean, he's been playing for that long, right?
Until we had a national program of vaccination, influenza was a problem, just like polio was a problem, just like smallpox was a problem, mumps, measles. We forget about diphtheria. Diphtheria used to kill half the kids until they developed an antitoxin for it.
Malaria in India until mid last century.
Yeah, exactly. No, the thing that's concerning to me is if we were to get a new virus every year. If we can stabilize corona, even if we have to deal with corona every year, we can handle that. We can't handle a new and very different virus every year. We can't handle Ebola showing up on our doorstep. But our medical establishment, if it's fed and nurtured properly, i.e., if its budgets aren't slashed, can handle this, and we can at some point look to.
I was just pointing out that you got that right, brother. Yeah.
Well,
my thoughts.
Paul's getting nervous because he needs to do his show.
Yes,
players. And I want to respect that, right?
This is what happens when we bring apocalypse right to your doorstep.
Well, but to close my participation on this, listen to Denis. He's one of the smartest people I know, and he's one of the few people that can correlate historical information to current events in a way that nobody ever can understand how it's possible. But once he explains it, you go like, "Oh shit, that's what it is." So
coming from KGEK, Kindler, Gentler, Esteban, Kolsky.
Pestilence has never been the same.
Pestilence will never be the same after COVID-19, brother.
All right. Okay, so let's do a quick, we just started this Watchlist Winners segment last week, right?
Yeah.
Who was it last week? It was Velocity. Velocity last week.
That was an easy one because they were acquired. So
and you did
their weaknesses were literally solved by the acquisition.
There it is. So who do we got this week?
So this week actually starts once again in reverse alphabetical order. The winners with distinction, right? Which were 3 this year: Thunderhead, Microsoft, Salesforce. no elite winners again for the third year running. So that, and what that means is essentially the net score was seriously high enough to be something more than just a winner, although to be a winner it took a lot too. Because again, I'll just reiterate one thing very briefly. When it comes to the watch list, I'm a total dick. All right, and that's pretty much it. My entire job, while I'm actually working on it, my ideal winners list would be none. Absolutely none. Right? That means none of them met. I am trying to make them lose. As everything in my power to make them lose. So to get to distinction really takes a lot. Now, you know, the disclaimer, of course, being with Thunderhead, of course, and actually with Salesforce and Microsoft for that matter, is I'm an advisor to all of them, right? So, but I'm also an advisor to many companies who lost, which means I'm not doing a good job, right? So Thunderhead, look, when it boils down to it, Thunderhead wins for, does extremely well for a couple of reasons. One, the product itself, which is the actual, if you're looking for the guiding genius behind it, you'll be meeting him in a few minutes, which is Ray Gerber, Chief Solutions Officer at Thunderhead. It's a unique product. There's other competitors in the marketplace, but nothing like what they do. They focus on customer journey orchestration, but they go well beyond what most companies think is customer journey orchestration. If you look at most vendors out there, what they define as customer journey orchestration is what really is a graphic and workflow engine building I wish this were the journey, right? And it's the perfect journey is built, and that's the customer journey, and that's the orchestration, and that's how it works. And it's really nothing more than a rather colorful graphic flow workflow builder with some really pretty boxes and some nice terminology. What Thunderhead does is uniquely different. So here's the best way to characterize it. Imagine a gigantic container that's completely empty, except it's got 16 million jet sprays in it. And somebody walks in, and the minute they walk in there, their shoes are sprayed, right, with one of the 60 million colors. And they keep walking and leaving footprints behind. And then another person walks in, another person walks in. Millions of people walk in, at least 13 million. I don't know what happens after 60. So at least in my picture here. So every one of them is leaving a different path. They don't necessarily have names, right? They don't necessarily have anything identifying them except the little tag that is applied to them as they walk through. But what Thunder is able to do is say, okay, well, let's take a look at the mega picture here. And we had this perfect journey, but they're going not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going 1, 3, 4, 4.5, 4.9, 4.95, 2, 1. They're going off the journey there. Why are so many people doing that? And then on the other hand, it'll look at the individual and say, oh, they're going 1, 4, 2, 3, 5, 7. They're looking at the individual journey as it actually is. And the thing they're able to do, 2 or 3 things they're able to do with that is, one, they can identify what the individual journey actually is, and thus, let's call it as the die wears off, they're saying, oh, well, he's wearing Cole Haan 10.5 size shoes, and they're brown, and they've got a scratch on the right side, meaning they're getting data and they're attaching that data to an active and adaptive profile, right, as that person worked through it, even without a name, so that when the person comes back, they're re-identified with that tag. And then they're able to start anticipating intent of these people and their behaviors and what they're doing. So, and it keeps going. I mean, I can go on forever talking about it, but ultimately what they're doing, which makes them unique, is in real depth, identifying at the macro and micro level the journey as it actually is, point by point, right? And it's a remarkable tool in that it's doing it in near real time, right? And I've never seen a tool like it. Look, I mean, just to give you a sense, the person who introduced me to the tool was Marche Bruschi, who many of you know, I met her, and Esteban used to work with her actually at Kana many, many years ago, right? I met her in 2003 when I spoke at a Kana event. 2002 or 2 years ago. Right. So
I'm not that old.
Kind of 2 years ago. So anyway, Marche, was at Dreamforce. She said, "Hey, we have this product." She was chief marketing officer at Thunderhead at the time. We had this product, and this is 8 years ago. We had this product. I'd like you to come take a look. So I took a look at it, and I trust Marche. I trust her with my life, for God's sake. She's one of the best CMOs I've ever met in my life. But when I saw this product, I didn't actually believe her. I said, "This is like a demo you just cobbled together, right?" And she goes, "No, it's a real product." I said, "Like in production product?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Marche, you know I love you and that I will do anything for you, but I need to see this for real. I don't actually believe you." I said, "I need to see this." And I saw it, and it just blew me away. And since then, they've gone on to win all the Magic Quadrants and the Forest of Waves and all the other things and things related to journey orchestration, and they've done really well on that level. The other thing that they've done extremely well and is that years ago, I'd say, I don't know, they came to the conclusion 5, 6, 7 years ago that they needed to actually do outreach. A lot of small companies, now they've been around in another area for a while, but a lot of small companies, the limitations that they have are built around very good technologies, but they don't know how to do anything else. Right? They literally know how to build a technology, and they fail all the time. There's lots of great technologies that fail. They have no sense of a market. They have no sense of outreach. They have no sense of marketing. They have no sense of talking to human beings beyond their R&D teams, right? So they have to be a company, not just an institution, a technology with an institution wrapped around. These guys started building out the marketing needs, building out and they had problems in the beginning with that. Now they're stabilized and doing quite well on the marketing side. They built out a great AR program. Lucy Cooper, the single person doing it, but she talks to over 100 analysts by herself, right? I mean, and they put themselves out there in a way that they're recognized as a company. They have for a company their size, they have a very, very volatile public and visible public presence. They're known, right? They understand theater, right? So they know how to be more colorful in their approach to things. So, those are small reasons. Their management team holds its own all the time. I mean, I can go to 100 reasons. If anybody, what I'm going to do, because we're limited by time on these shows,
you better go. We better start moving because we
will. But it's going to be like that all the time, man. It's 35 minutes of stuff in 5 minutes. So, what we'll do in the future for this is that if anyone would like a deeper dive on it, call me, email me. I will make a point of talking to you in a little more depth about any of the Watchlist winners that you heard about today. We'll in the show notes, we'll put my email address for that too. So with that, I'll stop for now. But understand, the product drives it, and their ability to be a company as opposed to just a product with an institution wrapped around it is actually what got them to the level they are, and why they are by a long shot the leader in their category. By a long shot. They own their own market.
All right. And with that said, as I bring in Ray Gerber, who is with Thunderhead, just let it be known that the CRM Playaz branded t-shirts with when it comes to the watch list, I'm a dick, will be on sale sooner rather than later.
I'm sorry. Wait. Before we do this, anybody knows if this like legal orders to stay away from Ray apply digitally, or it's only in person? Because he's got a restriction or injunction against me that I want to make sure I'm not violating digitally.
And with that being said, let's welcome Ray Gerber, Chief Officer.
Well, and in line of the conversation you guys had, let's give Esteban kudos for having to deal with the mother of his children, being on the front lines fighting the virus.
Yeah.
As a doctor,
right.
So Esteban.
Thank you. I had to say, dreams do come true.
I don't have a clue how to take that one.
I'm going to go on that dark again. Sorry. I'm trying to stay away from darkness.
We will edit that out.
And then secondly, I'm not sure how to follow up.
Seriously, massive amount of respect for the work she's doing. It's incredibly stressful and hard to be on the front lines right now. So, all joke aside, massive amount of respect.
Yeah. Way to go, Sylvia.
Yeah.
So, Ray, where are you sheltering in place from?
I am in Florida, and when I lift my head up, I see the ocean, which we're not allowed to go to because all our beaches are closed. So
you can't even go out your door.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So at least we're allowed to go biking and walking, stuff like that. So at least we can get outside. My friends in South Africa, they were just made aware today that the 1 month hunkering down in their house is not allowed to leave at all has been extended by another 3 weeks. So this is kind of serious across the world. So
we're locked to June 10th here.
Sure. Yeah, that's good. But coming back to Paul, thank you for your introduction. And, I'm not sure how to follow that up. You explained it 100%. We're excited, to be a winner. We're excited to be involved with you and Brent and Esteban and the team, because you guys are all members that have help us bring this together to the end that where the brands and the consumers will be the ones that are happy when journey orchestration becomes a mainstream product that's used by all the organizations, because many organizations are starting to see that as a differentiator against companies that's still stuck in the land of campaigns and of personalization. So we're excited about where we came from, but also even more excited about where we're going.
That's actually, given, I could go all day on Thunderhead. It's literally, arguably, well, not arguably, it is one of my favorite companies in the world, but we have to, let me narrow the discussion a little bit on one thing, right, which is, you've just announced something which is actually, once again, a major leap, which over even what you've done, much less everyone else in the marketplace, which is Thunder Bay. So why don't you give us a sense of what Thunder Bay is, what you see as the future for Thunderhead, given that, and also a little bit beyond Thunder Bay, where you're planning on going.
Well, I think obviously the Thunder Bay is a realization of 3 years work under the cover that Paul was part of and Paul was exposed to, but we didn't bring that to the market. And it's interesting that we announced that actually when we were in Atlanta with the conference, the day after I did the Porsche drive, which was awesome. Thanks, Brent and Paul. But the timing is so appropriate because our field teams has been focused on using Thunder Bay with our customers and prospects to help them identify how best to serve and understand the customer's behavior in these troubled times. The ability to understand what conversations that customers have. I think Esteban talks about the continual conversations. It's the only way you can really, if you understand those conversations and you can identify the journey context that they're in, how you can truly understand the customer's intent. And really the focus is on way beyond using demographics and psychographics only to be able to create segments and audiences. It's really about understanding in the moment behavior. The ability to understand where friction occurs. What are the set of engagements that happen 3 steps before somebody had to call the call center, as an example. 3 steps before somebody dropped off or there was a dormant period. So what we've really done is the tremendous wealth of the data that we accumulate via our one platform is now being sucked into Thunder Bay, and we are able to do deep journey-based analysis around that to come up with what I call small micro audiences that drives orchestrations back into the one platform to do real-time orchestrations, but we also have the ability to be that center brain in the ecosystem and drive out those audiences into all the other customer ecosystems. So there is a consistent set of conversations that's being had with customers across. We're very excited about us going. And Paul, you said, let's talk about the future. For us, the key is obviously how do we maximize the value of AI and ML to be able to make the life of the marketeers, the service supervisors, the sales managers, in essence, the broad organization as a whole, where AI and ML will, what we talk about as autonomous orchestration, the kind of the evolution of journey orchestration to be autonomous, where it uses the signals like a Tesla does and understands what is the context of the customer, how does the behavior, the environment change, and to be able to automatically address the set of conversations that you're having with that customer based on the customer's own behavior, the changing environment of the brand, but also the changing environment globally as it's happening right now. So we're very excited about using very, very sophisticated machine learning components like Markov chains and the Monte Carlo distribution models and reinforcement learning to be able to truly continue to be an adaptive learning engine that is focused on the intent of the customer rather than just what is the next, will they have a positive or negative response to the next action.
So based on that, I mean, how quickly does this happen? I mean, in other words, are we looking at something in real time? We're looking at something.
It's real time. We have 60 milliseconds when a customer or a consumer is on a brand-owned touch point, and we have what we call an optimization point on that page where the ability to do orchestration. We have 60 milliseconds from the moment, let's say, the page loads or the customer called the call center to be able to make those decisions and replace the default content or make a recommendation in the call center or in the community page. So we have 60 milliseconds to do that. Otherwise, the default content appears, and you've lost the opportunity to have the appropriate conversation with the customer.
Wow. So you're doing it literally in the course of loading.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't have a choice, and I think that's what differentiates us from the others, because you're not just making a decision on an A/B test on one piece of content versus the other. In some instances, some of our hospitality clients where they have 30,000, in essence, next phase actions, and they want us to grab the top 100 most relevant actions or offers for that customer and display it in the portal. Okay. And you as the consumer shouldn't be able to see what we call the flicker. It should just be there. You shouldn't be aware of that default content is being replaced by personalized content that's relevant to you as an individual consumer.
So one last question. Who are some of that you can talk about? Who are some of the customers that are using you, and to the extent like what kind of impact have you had on their activity? I mean, if you can.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously we're quite strong in the sports franchise industry, and also with the help of UPOL, like the big soccer franchise in the UK. Unfortunately, can't use bring out their name, but they have 400 million fans globally. And how do you create that fan engagement, knowing that you can only most probably host 40,000 fans in a stadium at one point? Where those people are in Asia Pacific, they're in Australia, they're in America. How do you understand those customers better? A brand I can name is Cleveland Cavaliers, that I've been on the stage with the CIO, where they've increased, fan engagement by 300%, depending on the type of players that people have shown interest in. I think when LeBron was going to leave the Cavaliers, it was interesting that they had to be proactive in terms of how do we communicate with our fans proactively before he leaves, so we don't do it after the fact. And that's a great thing to understand, is what are people saying across all the channels, not just on the web, not just on mobile. How is the behavior changing people attending the games? He said different type of people attending the games. So those, I think, are two brand names. Obviously, the Dells, the Marriott, some of the bigger brands, hospitality brands across the world are utilizing us and very successful in terms of creating a deeper level of engagement based on omni-channel journey orchestration.
Amazing.
That's good. Matter of fact, we should try to get the CIO of the Cavaliers on with
tomorrow's show.
Yeah, what is it called? Excuse the intrusion.
You got it. You can call it ETI.
Yes.
Yeah. Close though.
Yeah.
Close.
I mean, just to add on, Paul, AT&T is an amazing story for us too, in terms of, especially it's one of the brands where we go beyond the digital channels around IVR. I mean, I think we preloaded 5 million IVR conversations to have a better understanding. And Thunder Bay was very interesting. We did some journey analysis, and showed how a group of customers was researching the same thing over and over and over until they had to call the call center. So those are the type of insights you get and practically do that for our customers when they can manage it themselves.
All right.
Again, you know what I think. So
yeah. Thanks.
And yeah, congrats again for
Thanks very much.
Watchlist. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
again,
a lot of people behind it. Paul, the owner of the company, our CMO, Lucy, all those people that are really.
Oh, you're not thanking God. That's okay.
Well, I do.
Not the Oscars. Not the Oscars.
All right. Well, we're like slightly over, but that's kind of normal for us. But any parting words from the apocalyptic folks here?
That's you and Esteban.
Yeah.
Just in case you guys have forgotten.
I don't think so. I mean, read your Bible. We're never going away. We'll be back.
You Arnold Schwarzenegger all of a sudden?
I'll be back.
He washes his hands 50 times a day.
Dude, I have no more skin left on my hands. Okay, I have to wearing gloves to protect the raw meat.
Denis?
Up north.
We're in a time we do CRM, and we're in a time when we don't have anybody acting as a customer much, maybe only acting as somebody who wants service or something that's pretty minor. So I think this is a good experiment, a natural experiment for us to ask ourselves, what's important about what we've been doing for the last 20 years, and what have we discovered we can live without?
Kids.
Oh, my God, it's too heavy for me.
Well,
but no, you're right.
24/7 with kids at home. Come on.
70.
See what
I
happens.
totally live with the kids at home.
When he gets back with us,
just
when he
wasted
gets
2 decades.
all that gentle stuff just goes right out the door, man.
Well, every now and then you
Right.
you get to a point where you call out what's not working well enough, and it leaves you with more opportunity to add to what is working.
No, you're absolutely right.
Well, on that cheery note, yeah, it's been great having you guys with us.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, sir.
So
we're here. Judgment starts tomorrow. Be early.
I feel like Mort Saul.
That's the ultimate test.
Oh my God.
You cannot get to judgment. The ultimate test of your sins. So
who's riding the pale horse again? I can't remember. Anyway.
pestilence, it goes on the dark horse.
All right. Well,
Like I said,
Have a good
read your
weekend, guys.
Bibles.
for the entire group here,
Thank
I'm
you.
Brett Berry.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM
Esteban
Playaz.
Kolsky.
There, yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I thought
they
you were going
are.
around the clock.
And
Sorry.
Dennis' sidekick comes in for the end.
This is a cat named Bird.
We'll see you tomorrow. Well, some of us will.
Yes, that means we are
Out.
Thank you.
Yes, guys.